A Topeka Goodyear employee sent 13 News this photo of a slide shown during a meeting updating workers on company policy. Today, 13 News obtained an audio recording of the presentation. The speaker referenced instances of racial graffiti in the locker room and detailed what is and is not allowed under the company's zero-tolerance policy.
Some people may wish to express their views on social justice or inequity or equity issues such as Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ pride on their face covering shirts or wristbands. That will be deemed approved because it complies with zero tolerance stance. However, if any associate wears all blue White Lives Matter shirts or face coverings, that will be not appropriate.
The unidentified speaker says the rules were created to make a better work environment.
There's rules now around what you can wear. Let's try to comply with these so that way, everybody feels good in this factory. I want to make sure, guys, think about what we do in this factory, right? We all work together to make tires. That's what we do. That's what we get paid to do. So let's continue to do that and do the right thing. Keep this place what it's always been, a good place to work.
The speaker does not specifically mention the Donald Trump Make America Great Again slogan shown on the slide, but did say political campaigns are a no-go.
With elections coming, I see a lot of people wearing, election-type stuff, Democrat, Republican, Trump, Biden, Sanders, whatever, okay? That will no longer be allowed in the plant. No face masks, no shirts. Anything political will not be allowed in the plant.
The photo has since gained national attention, including an acknowledgement from President Donald Trump calling for a boycott on the company's tires. In a statement Wednesday morning, Goodyear said its corporate office did not create or distribute the slide. A spokesperson declined comment when 13 News asked if it was created locally or if the content was inaccurate. They referred us back to the statement, which reads, Goodyear is committed to fostering an inclusive and respectful workplace where all of our associates can do their best in a spirit of teamwork. As a part of this commitment, we do allow our associates to express their support on racial injustice and other equity issues, but ask that they refrain from workplace expressions, verbal or otherwise, in support of political campaigning for any candidate or political party, as well as other similar forms of advocacy that fall outside the scope of equity issues.
Thank you, Kaylee. Today, the president encouraged Americans not to buy Goodyear tires, suggesting that they had a ban on MAGA hats, but it appears that their policy is just a ban on political speech. It's pretty common for most companies. So why is the president retaliating against a private company for their dress code and potentially jeopardizing American jobs?
So Goodyear needs to come out and clarify their policy. There was an image. They failed to clarify. Yes, I did see their statement, which still failed to clarify their policy. What happened is there was an image that was put out that showed that certain speech was acceptable, Black Lives Matter insignia, for instance, but what was not allowed was Blue Lives Matter. What was not allowed was MAGA hats. What was clearly targeted was a certain ideology. They have not denied that that image was presented at one of their facilities, and they need to come out.
Racial equality, racial justice, that is okay, but not political speech. That's pretty standard across the board right now. That's not that unusual. Did the president even reach out to Goodyear before he tweeted?
They came out and said equity issues. As far as I'm concerned, Blue Lives Matter is an equity issue. There have been police officers across this country that have been targeted because they wear the badge. Look no further than Dallas, where 5 police officers died. So Black Lives Matter, an organization who's in their DC branch said Black Lives Matter means defund the police. One of their presidents in New York said we will burn down the system. We all remember in 2015 the yelling of pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon at a Black Lives Matter rally. That speech is allowed, but Blue Lives Matter is not allowed. And I will stand at this podium and say Blue Lives Matter is an equity issue, and Goodyear needs to come out and acknowledge that. Yes. Well, so let me just address that. The reason he called for the boycott was over MAGA. MAGA is pretty much unanimous with Blue Lives Matter these days, if you've seen the endorsements. Yes.
Hi, Kelly.
Yes.
Kelly, back to Goodyear for a second. Set the issue of the beast aside. When the president says don't buy Goodyear tires, get better tires for far less, is he imploring that to his supporters, or is that the official policy of the U.S. federal government that the president is directing, saying do not buy Goodyear tires going forward?
The president was talking to his supporters when he tweeted that in particular. And look, this president will never apologize for standing with law enforcement. He won't. He thinks it's unacceptable. If you can wear a Black Lives Matter hat, guess what? You should be able to wear a Blue Lives Matter one too, particularly when our police officers are targeted like they were in Dallas, particularly when David Dorn lost his life amid these riots. He will always stand against our police officers and Blue Lives Matter for some reason not being an equity issue, as Goodyear appears to maintain.
So for all the fleets out there that have Goodyear tires on them that inevitably need to be replaced, that is fine. Go ahead and purchase.
I haven't spoken to him about that in particular. You can ask him later in the 5 p.m. hour.
The president saw this. He took to Twitter, said, don't buy Goodyear tires. They announced a ban on MAGA hats. Get better tires for far less. This is what the radical left Democrats do. Two can play the same game, and we have to start playing it now. Goodyear coming back with its own tweet on this. Yesterday, Goodyear became the focus of a conversation that created some misconceptions about our policies and our company. Goodyear has always wholeheartedly supported both equality and law enforcement and will continue to do so. There was also a statement that said in part, quote, first, the visual in question was not created or distributed by Goodyear corporate, nor was it part of a diversity training class. To be clear, our long-standing corporate policy, Goodyear has zero tolerance for any forms of harassment or discrimination. So basically what they're saying is, no, we're not allowing harassment or discrimination. Corporate did not put this out. Maybe one of the branch offices went rogue here, but they're also not addressing what was on that slide, what was considered acceptable or not acceptable. They're sort of directly staying away from that, Neil. I reached out to the company directly this morning. I have not heard back from them, but of course we'll keep you up to date.
Did you have any concern yesterday when the president urged people to boycott Goodyear, of what that could mean in the community? Obviously, a lot of jobs and things back home there.
Nah, I know my people of Akron, and I know what Goodyear means to our city. So, one thing about us, we don't bend and we don't fold and we don't break for nobody. So I'm not worried about that.
There's the grapes, and here's the wrath!